You're what? I asked, the question hanging between us like a weight about to drop. Jenny didn't flinch. She stood at the sink, rinsing her plate with deliberate calm, like she hadn't just detonated something in the middle of our Saturday morning. I joined a gym, she said again. A new one, closer to downtown. I blinked. Okay, but why not mine? She finally turned, towel in hand, eyes unreadable. Because I need space, Logan. Somewhere that isn't tied to your name. That was the first slap. I set my coffee down slowly, my heart already thudding in that quiet, familiar warning rhythm. Space? From what? We haven't even had a proper night together this week. Jenny shrugged, as if that was news to her. We're both busy. We work 5 miles apart, Jen. I make time. You just don't take it. Her jaw tightened. This isn't about us. No. I stepped forward, closing the gap between us. Then what is it about? Why join another gym? Why not even tell me until it was done? She crossed her arms, defensive now. Because I knew exactly how you'd react. You'd turn it into some big trust thing. Maybe because it is a trust thing. I shot back. You've been distant for weeks. Late nights. No explanations. Now you suddenly need a gym that isn't ours? I don't need your permission to do something for myself. And I'm not asking for permission to be treated like a damn husband instead of an obstacle. My voice cracked through the room, louder than I intended. You're sneaking around, Jenny. Don't pretend this is about cardio. Her face flushed, but her voice went cold. You're being paranoid. I laughed, sharp and humorless. I'm being married. Or at least I thought I was. For a moment, neither of us moved. The kitchen felt like it was holding its breath. Let me guess, I said, softer now. This gym, it's got smoothies, neon lights, and some charming trainer who doesn't ask questions. Jenny looked away. I felt the first drop of something bitter slide down my throat. You've already met him, haven't you? I asked quietly. She didn't answer. That was answer enough. I can't do this, she whispered. Oh, now we're being honest, I muttered. Is this where you tell me I've been too focused on my business? That I stopped noticing you? That you feel invisible? Jenny's lips parted like she might speak, but nothing came out. Don't bother, I said, stepping back. You've rehearsed this in your head already, haven't you? She flinched. I thought we were solid. I added, voice low. Turns out you were just waiting for the right place to disappear into. She grabbed her bag, hands trembling slightly. I need to go. I bet you do, I said. Just don't forget your gym bag. Her eyes snapped up, but I didn't blink. She turned and walked out. And when the door clicked shut, something inside me clicked too. You think you know someone. You think routine means safety. But sometimes the quietest people make the loudest exits. My name is Logan. I train bodies for a living. But today, I realized I'd missed the signs in my own home. Jenny wants space? Fine. But now I want the truth. And I'm not letting this go. It had been exactly a week since that blow-up in the kitchen. Since Jenny said she needed space and walked out like that was a normal thing to say to your husband over toast. She didn't bring it up again. Neither did I. But the distance between us? It wasn't just emotional anymore. It had shape. Wait. It filled the house like fog you couldn't see but felt pressing on your skin. She still left for the gym every other evening. Still came home just before midnight. And always, with a new excuse for the time. Traffic was brutal. Got caught talking to the girls. Shower took longer than I thought. Each one delivered with that smooth, practiced tone, like she was playing from a script. But then, Wednesday happened. It was a damp, gray afternoon. I'd come home early, client canceled last minute. As I walked through the door, I heard her upstairs, rushing around, heels clicking against the floor. Jenny appeared at the top of the stairs in her usual leggings and hoodie combo, phone tucked in one hand, water bottle in the other. Late for class, she said, not even looking at me. Don't wait up. I nodded silently, watching her move fast. A little too fast. The front door slammed shut. 10 seconds later, I saw it. Her gym bag, still sitting by the coat rack. Unzipped. Full. Untouched. At first, I just stared at it like it might vanish if I blinked enough. Then I walked over, crouched down, and opened it. A clean towel. Spare shoes. A fresh bottle of body wash. Everything ready for a workout. Everything and used. I zipped it shut slowly, heart beginning to pound, not with rage yet, but with something colder. That slow burn realization you can't unsee. I sat on the couch, bag at my feet, and waited. She didn't come back until nearly midnight. I kept the lights off. Just the glow from the TV casting flickers across the living room. The lock clicked. Her steps padded softly across the hardwood. She probably thought I was asleep. When she walked in and saw me sitting there in the dark, she froze. "Oh," she said, laughter thin. "You scared me." I didn't say anything. She glanced around. "Didn't realize you were still up." I looked at her. Not the words, just her. She was dressed the same as earlier, but her hair was down now. Loose. Wavy. No signs of sweat. No red cheeks. No towel in hand. "I thought you went to the gym," I said, keeping my voice even. She blinked. "I did. You forgot your bag." Her lips parted, and for the first time in a long while, I saw her falter. Just a flash. But enough. I didn't need it," she stammered. "They had extra towels. Shoes." She hesitated. "I just did cardio. Nothing serious." I nodded slowly. "Right." She walked past me, voice chipper. "I'm gonna take a quick shower." "Already showered at the gym, didn't you?" That stopped her cold. She didn't turn around, just stood there, shoulders stiff, back tense. "Yeah," she said finally. "But I still feel gross." I said nothing, just watched her disappear down the hall. 15 minutes later, I stood in our bedroom doorway, staring at the gym bag I'd placed carefully at the foot of the bed. She said nothing when she saw it, just crawled under the covers, turned off the light, and rolled to face the wall. That's when I knew. I didn't have hard proof. Not yet. But betrayal? It doesn't always come with lipstick on collars or perfume that doesn't belong. Sometimes, it's just the sound of your wife lying badly in the dark, pretending she's still yours. And I lay there, staring up at the ceiling, thinking, she forgot the one thing that was supposed to sell the lie. And now? Now I'm done waiting for more. The next morning, I went through the motions like I always did. Coffee, protein shake, client files. But the usual rhythm fell off, like I was moving through someone else's day, not mine. I couldn't stop thinking about that bag. The lie. Her voice, cracking for the first time in months. It was like watching a dam develop its first fracture. You knew the flood was coming. You just didn't know when. Around lunchtime, I ended up at Qley's, a hole-in-the-wall diner near the river. Kind of place with cracked leather booths, a buzzing neon sign, and a waitress who called everyone sweetheart, whether you were 9 or 90. Trevor slid into the booth across from me, late as usual, but with that easygoing grin that made it hard to stay annoyed. He was an old friend. Ran a fitness center on the other side of town. We'd trained together back in the day, shared clients, lifted side by side, spotted each other more times than I could count. If there was anyone I could trust with what I was thinking, it was him. "You look like hell," he said, popping a fry in his mouth. "Rough night." I gave a weak laugh. "Something like that." He tilted his head. "Talk to me." I didn't sugarcoat it. "Jenny's been acting weird. Distant. Joined a different gym, won't say why. Keeps coming home late. Lied to me about working out last night. Forgot her bag, didn't even notice." Trevor's smile faded. He leaned back, eyes narrowing slightly. "Which gym?" I hesitated. "Bodycore. On Swananoa." His expression shifted, just enough for me to notice. The corner of his mouth twitched. Not a smile. More like a wince. "What?" I asked, already dreading the answer. He exhaled slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. "That's where John works." "John?" Trevor nodded. "John Ellis. Tall. Charming. Always has his shirt half unzipped. He's been there a couple years now. Got a solid following. Especially with married women." The way he said that last part made my stomach twist. "You're not serious." I wish I wasn't. He lowered his voice, eyes flicking around the diner. He's the kind of guy who makes stretching sessions run an hour too long. Friendly with clients in all the wrong ways. I felt my blood go cold. "You think Jenny's..." Trevor didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. "She's there 5 nights a week," I said slowly. "Says it's for classes. But she never mentions instructors. Never invites me. And last night, she forgot the one thing she always brings." He leaned forward. "I've heard things. Whispers. Nothing I could ever prove, but John's got a reputation, man. Charming his way into people's homes, then blowing them up from the inside." The booth suddenly felt smaller. Tighter. Like the air had thickened. "I don't want to jump to conclusions," I muttered. "Then don't," Trevor said. "But don't be blind either." For a long time, I just stared at my untouched sandwich. My appetite had vanished. "Thanks," I said finally. He clapped a hand on my shoulder. "Whatever you need, you know I've got you." I nodded, but the truth was, What I needed was something no friend could give me. Proof. Because deep down, I already knew. The name was John. And now, I had a target. I didn't tell Jenny I was going to bodycore. Didn't ask for permission. Didn't even hint. I just walked in on a Thursday afternoon with a visitor pass, a calm smile, and a name that still pulsed behind my eyes like a bruise, John Ellis. The girl at the front desk welcomed me like I was any other walk-in. I filled out a waiver, made up a story about wanting a new vibe, and trying out some cross-training. My credentials as a personal trainer helped sell it. She handed me a badge, gave me the grand tour. Machines gleaming. Motivational posters plastered over pale gray walls. The scent of lemon wipes and ambition hung thick in the air. Then I saw her, Jenny, by the juice bar, chatting with another woman. Small talk, exaggerated laughs. I waited for her to turn, for that inevitable flicker of panic when she saw me standing in her world, uninvited. It didn't take long. She turned. She froze. And then, like someone flicked a switch, she smiled. "Logan," she said, loud enough for the nearby staff to hear. "What are you doing here?" I returned the smile, careful to keep my voice light. "Checking out the competition." Jenny laughed, and it was the kind of laugh that made my stomach twist, high-pitched, forced, a little too bright. Well, surprise. Her friend excused herself quickly, sensing something between us that didn't match the smiles. Jenny stepped closer, voice lower. "Why are you here?" "Wanted to see what all the hype was about," I replied. "You've been glowing about this place. Figured I'd check it out myself." Her jaw tightened for a half-second, but she recovered fast. "Sure. Okay. Just, maybe don't make this a thing." "A thing? You know what I mean." I nodded. "Don't worry. I'm just observing." And that's exactly what I did. I stayed the whole hour. Wandered through the cardio area. Took a light spin class. Watched. Jenny stayed in her zone, too in it. She laughed at nothing, smiled too much, touched too little. If I didn't know her better, I'd think she was having fun. But it was all fake. Her movements were rehearsed, her posture too rigid. And she kept glancing over her shoulder, at me, at the front door, at the locker room, like she was waiting for someone who hadn't shown, or trying to keep someone from noticing I had. I didn't see John. Not that day. But his ghost was everywhere. Every trainer I passed, I checked their shoes, their height, their voice. I imagined how he might look, smug, relaxed, confident in that quiet, dangerous way. The kind of guy who could smile at your wife and steal something vital without ever touching her. As I left the gym, Jenny jogged to catch up. "Hey," she said, grabbing my arm. "Don't come here again." I turned to her slowly. "Why not? It's my space." "You didn't seem thrilled to share it." She sighed. I need something for myself, Logan. Not everything has to be about us." I looked at her, really looked. And for a second, I wanted to believe that lie. That this was just a woman trying to breathe. But I knew what I saw. I saw guilt. And fear. And that smile she wore like armor. "Right," I said. "Wouldn't want to get in the way of your fitness journey." Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't speak. She didn't have to. I walked away. But something had shifted. That gym wasn't hers anymore. It was the scene of a crime in progress. And I wasn't just watching now. I was hunting. 2 nights after my visit to bodycore, I pulled my shoulder during a weighted row. Nothing serious, just a stubborn sting that made it hurt to lift above eye level. I told my evening clients I'd be rescheduling. Canceled my own workout. Ordered dinner in. Turned my phone to silent. And waited. Jenny left around 7 p.m. Dressed the same way she always did. Leggings, hoodie, slick ponytail. Kissed me on the cheek like nothing between us had shifted. I didn't ask where she was going. She didn't offer. By midnight, I was still awake. I sat in the dim living room. Lights off, shadows crawling up the walls. The glow from the TV flickered over empty takeout boxes and a half-finished water bottle. But I wasn't watching the screen. I was watching the time. 12:32 a.m. Then 12:57. At 1:03 a.m., her message came through. "Still at the gym, home soon." I stared at it. No apology. No explanation. Just that clean little sentence, sharp as a razor. I set the phone down. Let a few seconds crawl by. Then I picked it back up and typed slowly, carefully. "Private lessons with John." Huh? I hit send. And waited. Exactly 10 minutes later, the front door slammed open. Jenny stormed in, hair damp, hoodie zipped to the neck. Her face was flushed, not from a workout. From panic. Traffic. she said breathlessly, kicking off her sneakers. There was a wreck on 240. And I took a shower at the gym, so I never asked, I said calmly. She blinked. I stood up from the couch and crossed the room. Not rushing. Just moving. Like a tide. Steady. Certain. Jenny backed up half a step. You're acting crazy, she said, voice trembling now. You're reading into everything. Maybe, I said. But you forgot your bag 2 nights ago. Lied about it. And now you're out past 1 in the morning. You're not training, Jenny. You're disappearing. I told you. No, I cut in. You told me what you wanted me to hear. But you forget something, Jen. I know how you sweat. I know how long your showers run. I know the way you smell after an actual workout. She looked away. So who were you with? I asked, voice softer now. She didn't answer. I stepped closer. It's him, isn't it? Still nothing. My phone buzzed again. I didn't check it. Her eyes flicked to it for a split second. Does he text you when I'm asleep? I asked. Or do you keep it on mute so I don't hear? Stop, she whispered. Tell me his name. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. I didn't push further. Didn't need to. Her silence filled in every blank space. I stepped back, picked up my plate from the table, walked into the kitchen. Behind me, she stood frozen, like a statue caught mid-lie. You hungry? I asked over my shoulder. She said nothing. I rinsed the plate, slid it into the sink, then turned off the light. As I passed her in the hallway, I felt it, that shift. Not just guilt, not even fear. It was realization. She wasn't in control anymore, and I didn't need to scream to prove it. All I had to do was see. It happened 3 nights later. I had just closed up my studio, muscles still tight from demoing a deadlift form correction for a stubborn client. The streets were quiet. Asheville has that eerie small-town silence after 10 p.m. Like everyone collectively agreed to go to bed and keep their ghosts tucked in. Normally, I took the main road home. Well lit. Predictable. But that night, I cut down Rosewood Alley, a narrow stretch behind the strip mall, poorly lit and usually empty. I used to walk it in high school. Felt familiar. Halfway through, I heard the first footstep. Then a second. Then 3 more. I turned too slow. Hands grabbed at my hoodie. Another pair shoved me hard against a dumpster. My back hit metal, and a sharp bolt of pain ran up my spine. I swung blindly, caught someone in the ribs. Grunted. Fist came at me, connected with my jaw. My head snapped sideways. Adrenaline took over. I drove my shoulder into one guy's chest, felt the air whoosh out of him. Another came at me with something in his hand, but I kicked hard and low, dropped him. Third guy wavered, backed off, shouting something to the others. The guy I hit first groaned on the ground, cursing. He scrambled to his feet and ran. The others followed. I staggered back against the wall, panting, vision swimming. Blood in my mouth. Skin torn on my knuckles. Right eye already puffing. But I was still standing. I made it to my car and sat there, shaking. Not from fear. From fury. 3 guys, coordinated, quiet, fast. Not muggers. They hadn't asked for my wallet. They hadn't said a word. Which meant it wasn't random. It was a message. I sat there, head against the steering wheel, replaying every detail. Shoes. One of them had bright white sneakers, nearly glowing in the dark. Flashy. Expensive. Exactly like the pair I'd seen behind the desk at Bodycore. The ones Jenny had mentioned admiring weeks ago. I remembered thinking, who wears that to train? John. Tall. Athletic. The kind of guy who wanted to be noticed. The image hit me like a freight train. I leaned back, still breathing hard, jaw throbbing, temple pulsing. So this is how he played it. This wasn't about passion. This wasn't just some messy affair. This was calculated. Territorial. John didn't want me suspicious. He wanted me gone. I drove home in silence, knuckles raw against the steering wheel. Jenny was asleep on the couch when I walked in, wrapped in a blanket like nothing had happened. The TV was on low, flickering blue shadows across her face. I stood there, watching her sleep. For a moment, I almost believed it was still our life. But my ribs ached every time I breathed, and nothing felt like mine anymore. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, every muscle throbbing. I thought about Trevor, about the rumors, about the shoes, about the silence in Jenny's voice when I asked if it was him. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was strategy, and they made their first move. They just didn't finish the job. 2 mornings later, I walked back into Bodycore. No badge this time. No fake curiosity. No pretending to be another guy sampling the facilities. I walked in like I owned the place. Because at that point, I wasn't looking for proof anymore. I was here for the man himself. The receptionist smiled, about to greet me, but one look at my face shut her up. I had a blackened eye and a split lip, still healing. The bruises on my ribs weren't visible, but every breath reminded me. The floor buzzed with the usual energy. Pop music, squeaky sneakers, weights clanking against rubber mats. But it all faded into the background the second I saw her. Jenny. She was across the room, doing leg presses, laughing at something off to the side. Then he stepped into view. John. 6 foot something, sleeveless tank, golden tan, perfectly rehearsed charm plastered across his face. He leaned on the machine beside her, one hand on his hip, the other resting casually near hers. Too casually. He wasn't touching her, but he didn't need to. Everything about his body said, she's mine. And Jenny, my wife, smiled up at him like a high school girl caught in her first crush. I stood there for a full 10 seconds before either of them noticed me. Jenny turned first. Her smile faltered. John followed her gaze. His face didn't shift. Not right away, but I saw it. The flicker of recognition, that millisecond of recalculation. He knew. I started walking. Straight through the machines. Past the staff. Right toward them. People started to notice. Jenny stood up fast, wiping her hands with a towel. Logan, she said, her voice bright and fake. What are you? You really should have warned him I'd recognize the shoes. John's eyes flicked down. White. Neon accented. The same pair I'd seen kicking me in the ribs 2 nights ago. You don't belong here, he said evenly, voice calm, like he'd rehearsed for this moment too. I smiled. Neither do you. Jenny stepped between us, hands raised. Logan, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. That did it. I looked at her, not angry, not even surprised. Just hollow. You know, I said, loud enough for the trainers around us to pause. When you lie, Jenny, you used to be good at it. But lately, you're slipping. She flinched. I turned back to John. I'm not here to fight you. He smirked. Good. You'd lose. I laughed once. Right? Like the other night? When you needed backup. The smirk faded. Don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. I stepped closer, just enough for him to feel the heat behind my words. But I remember your sneakers. And I remember how fast you ran when I didn't go down. His jaw twitched. Jenny's voice cracked. Logan, stop it. Why? Because it's getting uncomfortable? I said, eyes still on John. Because people are starting to watch. And they were. Conversations had stopped. A couple members were peeking over from treadmills. A trainer near the squat racks had pulled off her headphones. John straightened up. You need to leave. I'm not done. He stepped forward, matching my stance. You're out of line, man. No, I said softly. You crossed that line the minute you put your hands on my wife. The minute you tried to take what I built. He glanced at Jenny like he expected her to say something. She didn't. I turned to her, voice lower now. I came here hoping you'd deny it. Hoping you'd still flinch at the truth. Jenny blinked, swallowing hard. You're not even hiding it anymore, I said. You just brought it into the light. Then I stepped back, took one last look at them. Her flushed and trembling, him still trying to stay cool under the weight of watching eyes. I'm done. I walked out. And for the first time since this started, I didn't feel like I was chasing the truth anymore. I'd found it. The locker room was quiet. I'd stuck around after the confrontation, not because I had anything left to prove, but because I wanted him to think I was gone. I waited 10 minutes. 15. Changed into dry clothes, replaying every second of what just happened. Then the door creaked open behind me. I didn't need to look. John's cologne reached me first, expensive, strong, too eager to announce his arrival. He shut the door behind him. The air in the room tightened. I gotta hand it to you, he said. You've got guts, Logan. Most guys would have folded by now. I sat on the bench, tying my shoes slowly. Most guys aren't me. He chuckled, low and dismissive. You made your little scene. Hope it felt good. I stood up, face to face now. He didn't smile. I don't like being threatened, John said. And I don't like being jumped in alleyways, I replied. He blinked, just once. You have no idea what you're starting. Oh, I do, I said, leaning in. But here's the part you don't know. I pulled my phone from my locker, opened the message thread, scrolled down, and held the screen up for him to see. The name at the top read, Trevor Mahoney. Underneath, the last message I'd sent. Get started. John's eyes flicked over the screen, and for the first time, I saw it. Fear. Tiny. Fleeting. But real. You think your little studio has any weight in this town? He scoffed, trying to recover. You think anyone cares what you say? No, I said, voice low. But they care what Trevor says. And he's already spoken to the certification board. They're reviewing complaints. Yours. His mouth tightened. I wasn't bluffing. I'd called Trevor the night after the ambush, gave him every detail about the attack, the shoes, the timing. He didn't even hesitate. I've been waiting for something real on that guy, he said. Now I've got it. And now, so did John. You're going to lose your license, I said calmly. Your job, your reputation, the thing you built with sweat and charm, it's already leaking at the seams. John stepped closer, voice sharp. You think Jenny's coming back to you after this? You think she'll forget what you did? I didn't flinch. She can do whatever she wants. Then I lowered my voice, razor thin. But you? You're done. He didn't move, didn't speak, just stared, because he knew I wasn't bluffing. And worse, he knew someone else had already pulled the string. I grabbed my gym bag and walked past him. Just before I reached the door, I paused. You should have trained your conscience harder. Then I walked out, leaving him standing alone, cornered, cornerless. The hunter had become the hunted. The house was too quiet when I stepped in. No TV noise this time. No clatter of dishes. Just that thick, uneasy silence that only exists in homes where the truth has been avoided for too long. Jenny was on the couch, scrolling her phone like she hadn't already been pacing the living room for an hour. She looked up, startled when she saw me. You're late, she said. I didn't answer. I walked past her to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, took one long sip, and let the silence stretch until it made her nervous. I saw you at the gym, she said finally. After you walked out. I turned, met her eyes. I didn't walk out, I said. I left. Big difference. Jenny stood up slowly. You made a scene. I set the glass down. No, you made the scene. I just narrated it. Her lips pressed into a tight line, that faux calm starting to crack. Why are you doing this? She asked. Why are you trying to ruin everything? Funny, I said, walking into the living room. I was about to ask you the same thing. I reached into my bag and pulled out the thick manila envelope. I dropped it on the coffee table without ceremony. She looked at it like it was a live grenade. What's that? She asked. Divorce papers. Her hand flew to her mouth. No, Logan, please. I already signed them, I said. You don't need to agree. Just need to acknowledge. Tears came fast. You're not serious. I didn't flinch. I've never been more serious. She picked up the envelope with shaking hands, pulled out the first few pages, then dropped them like they stung her. I made a mistake, she whispered. No, I said. You made a series of choices. Jenny came around the couch, closing the space between us like it would change anything. I didn't mean for any of this, she said. I didn't plan for it to go so far. Did you trip into his arms, Jen? Is that how it happened? Her lip trembled. I was lonely, she said, voice cracking. You were always at work. You were building your dream, and I was just fading. I was building a future for us, I snapped. You think it was fun pulling 12-hour days so we could pay off this mortgage early? So we could travel next year? So you could choose whether to work or not? She shook her head. It wasn't about money. No, I said. It was about attention. And instead of asking for mine, you chased someone else's. I didn't mean to fall for him. I let out a bitter laugh. You didn't fall. You jumped. And you landed in my blind spot. Jenny wiped her cheeks, mascara streaking. I thought I could fix it. You don't fix betrayal, I said. You bury it. Or you leave it exposed and let it rot. I pulled a second envelope from my bag. This one slimmer, but heavier in weight. Here's the rest. She took it hesitantly. Text screenshots. Security footage. Date-stamped messages. Eyewitness statements. She flipped through the pages. Her hands started to tremble. Trevor filed the ethics complaint on my behalf. I added. John's being investigated. His license is under review. And Body Corps already placed him on administrative leave pending the outcome. She dropped the envelope like it had burned her. What did you do to him? Nothing, I said. I just exposed him. You're trying to destroy him. No, I said, voice razor sharp. He did that when he laid hands on my wife and tried to have me jumped in an alley. I just turned the lights on. Jenny broke. Her knees hit the floor like her body finally gave out. I never wanted this, she sobbed, gasping for air between the words. Logan, please. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. We can. No, I said. She looked up, mascara streaked down to her jawline. There's no we anymore. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I don't hate you, I said after a long moment. But I don't trust you. And without that, there's nothing left. I walked to the doorway. Stopped. Look back. I'll give you 30 days, I said. Stay here, get your things in order. After that, this house is mine. She collapsed back onto the carpet, sobbing into her hands. I didn't comfort her, didn't kneel beside her, didn't touch her shoulder, didn't hand her a tissue, because the man who would have done those things, she left him behind months ago, and tonight, he officially returned the favor. The courtroom smelled like lemon polish and nerves. I sat alone on the left bench, calm, hands folded, suit pressed. No lawyer beside me, just my documents, the truth, and months of silence waiting to be heard. Across the aisle, Ginny sat between her attorney and a tight knot of shame. Her eyes flicked to mine only once. She looked older. Not aged, just hollowed out. John wasn't there. He wouldn't risk public scrutiny. Not anymore. The judge, a woman in her 50s with silver hair pulled into a severe bun, glanced through our files with clinical focus. Mr. Hale, she said, you've submitted video and written evidence regarding the grounds for divorce. Is that correct? I nodded. Yes, Your Honor. And you've waived alimony requests? Correct. She turned to Ginny's lawyer. Any objections? He stood, cleared his throat, already sweating. We have some questions regarding the context of this evidence. The judge raised a brow. Then let's review it together. A clerk wheeled over the monitor. I didn't flinch. The footage rolled. Jenny, by the water cooler, smiling, leaning toward John. His hand grazed her lower back. She didn't pull away. Then, frame by frame, they kissed. Not passionately, not hidden, casually, like it was normal, like no one mattered outside that bubble. Ginny buried her face in her hands. Her lawyer looked blindsided, whispering to her urgently, but she didn't respond. Next came the messages. Screenshots of her texting John while I was in the next room. Excuses layered over fake workouts. A time-stamped, still at the gym, sent while she lay in his bed. Whispers spread across the room. The judge tapped her pen once on the desk. Mrs. Hale, she said firmly, do you contest the validity of this footage? Ginny shook her head slowly. Her voice, when it came, was barely audible. No, Your Honor. Then we proceed. There was nothing left to say. No drama. No screaming. Just the weight of reality dropping like stone. Ginny looked at me again. But this time, her eyes weren't asking for forgiveness. They were asking if I'd ever remember her before all this. Before lies and gym bags and midnight texts. And I think, maybe that's what broke her more than anything. Because I didn't look away. I didn't soften. I just blinked slowly and let her feel the silence that used to be trust. The judge finalized the decree within the hour. Divorce granted. Full asset division per Mr. Hale's request. Custody of shared property and business holdings awarded to petitioner. Court adjourned. I stood. Ginny remained seated, hands clasped in her lap like a child after detention. I walked past her without a word. But as I reached the door, I heard it. A faint, broken whisper. Logan, I paused. Half-turned. Met her gaze one last time. She tried to smile, barely. But I just nodded once. Polite. Distant. Done. Then I pushed open the courtroom doors and stepped into the sun. Free. Not of the past. But of pretending it didn't happen. The studio smelled like fresh paint and pine mats. 3 weeks had passed since the court date. I'd reopened under a new name, clean slate, fresh energy. My client list doubled, and not because I advertised. Word spreads fast in small towns, especially when a man takes betrayal and builds something better from it. It was quiet that morning. Early. Sunlight streamed through the front windows in gold strips. I just finished wiping down equipment when the bell over the door jingled. I looked up. It was him. John. He stepped inside like a ghost that forgot it died. Rough around the edges now, shirt wrinkled, scruff growing in, eyes hollowed out. The khaki tan was gone, replaced with a gray tint of someone used to looking over their shoulder. Logan, he said, almost gently. I said nothing. He lingered by the front desk. Didn't approach. I've, been trying to find work, he started. Most gyms won't even return my emails. Sounds about right. He nodded, as if expecting that. I just thought, maybe you'd put in a word. Something neutral. Doesn't have to be glowing. I laughed once, short and sharp. You want me to help you rebuild after you tried to wreck my life? He didn't flinch. I messed up. That's a mild way of putting it. I lost everything, he muttered. Jenny moved in with her sister out of state. My cert's under review. No one wants to touch me. Not even for janitorial work. Maybe you should have cleaned your conscience instead. He looked up. I wasn't trying to destroy you, he said. No, I said, walking around the desk. You were just trying to erase me quietly. Slip in. Take what wasn't yours. Blame it on emotion. Chemistry. Whatever buzzword you tell yourself at night. He didn't argue. Didn't deny it. That was new. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. You know what your problem is, John? You've spent your whole life training your body. Flexing, posturing, showing off. But you never train the one thing that matters when everything else collapses. He frowned. Your character, I said. And now? You're broke. Alone. And nobody's buying what you're selling anymore. He swallowed hard. I get it, he said. You're angry. No, I said. I was angry. Now I'm just done. He looked down. Guess that's it, then. He turned toward the door, slower than when he came in. But just before he left, I added, you should have trained your conscience harder. He stopped, shoulders tensed. Then he nodded once, defeated. The door closed behind him, and I stood there, in the center of my own space. Clean, bright, quiet. That's the thing about betrayal. It breaks you. But if you let it, it also builds you back sharper than before. I didn't just survive what they did to me. I outlived it.